What's up, world? It's your boy Dusty Rhodes with Retro Roadz Gaming, and you're watching Some Fire Films TV.
You know, first off, I'm just grateful, happy that I know so many wonderful, talented people. I got somebody special with me today that he's just that, you know, a guy that I'm just grateful that I know. Super talented. We've known each other for a while. He knew me since my mixtape days, my DJ Sunfire mixtape days. Even blessed me with a song for one of my mixtapes. You know, I could say I know him, but today I'm gonna get to know him a little bit better. You know, he does a lot of things. He's a rapper, I think. I don't know. He told the world he don't want to do it no more. So we're gonna talk about that. He's a gamer. You know, he's a father, husband. He told me to come with the tough questions today, so I'm gonna do my best. I got Dusty Rhodes with me.
Let's go.
What's going on, brother?
It's a beautiful day, man. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
Like I said, man, I've known you for a while. I think we first met around it was the Rizzle days. It was Rizzle back then.
Yeah, D-Rizzle.
D-Rizzle.
Yeah, man.
That was Juice Gang, the Juice Gang days.
Yes, sir. Around 2014, something like that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I remember them nights at Rehab and
Yeah,
Club
man.
Rehab and all that. So we got a lot to talk about, man. We got
A lot of catching up to do.
A lot of catching up to do. I feel like we talk on social media and things like that. We haven't seen each other in a while.
Right.
But yeah, man, like you got so many layers, so many different things you have done over the years. But I want to go back, like young Dusty, man. Like, what was your first dream? Like before music, before everything. What was your first dream?
Oh, man. Probably like, I don't know, man. I was raised by my grandparents, and like the only father figure I had was my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of the blue collar workers out there in the work field. And I kind of grew up. He worked for Marita Bread Company for 45 years.
Okay.
So I kind of grew up on a bread truck. So if you asked me at age 5 or 6 what I was going to be when I grow up, I would have probably told you a bread man.
Yeah. What side of town was that?
Somerville.
Somerville. Okay.
Oh yeah. Born and raised in Somerville. So yeah, that was probably, a younger Dusty would have probably thought that.
Mm-hmm.
I never really knew who my father was, and mom was kind of in and out of trouble with the law.
Mm-hmm.
She gave me up when I was born, just for a better situation, because she knew she wasn't going to be able to fulfill the mother duties. You know?
Right.
So, I think once she kind of came back in my life when I got a little older, that's when my mind opened up outside of a box of with my grandparents. And just to put it in perspective, my grandparents are holy rollers.
Yeah.
And like the only music that you heard in our household was
Gospel,
Southern gospel, or old country. I'm talking like Hank Williams,
Okay.
Merle Haggard stuff.
Okay.
And really, so growing up, that's all I knew. You know what I mean?
Right.
Their daughters, which is my mom's sisters,
Mm-hmm.
they were older than me, but they were more into the heavy metal rock and roll scene in the 80s and the early 90s.
Okay.
So I kind of got adapted into that. But when my mom came back into my life, being the hip hop connoisseur she is,
Okay.
that's when my mind expanded.
Okay.
And,
What was your mom listening to?
oh man, Dr. Dre, Tupac was her number one. There is nothing greater than Pac to my mom.
Right.
A lot of West Coast stuff, because I mean
Okay.
back then, really East Coast, you didn't like, unless you were listening to like, Biggie, stuff like that. But yeah, she was a West Coast hip hop head. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, so like I said, I met you around the D-Rizzle days. That was Juice Gang.
that's right.
What were you doing? You were already rapping before you got with them.
Oh yeah.
So how did you start rapping?
Oh, in school, I hung out with a little crew. In school we didn't have a name or nothing, but we all wanted to rap. We were rappers. You know what I mean? And that was back not to tell my age or anything, but we had a handheld tape recorder, mini tapes.
Right.
Little mini tapes.
That you used to do like
Yeah.
if you wanted to go to a seminar and you wanted to take notes.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
My mom used to have.
Yeah, man. So what we do is, we'd run to the record store and buy a little a dub tape of like, bass beats is what it was back then.
Right.
Bass beats. And we would dub that onto the mini tape and then pass the mini tape around in a circle, just spitting bars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or what we thought was bars then. I'm sure it was pretty embarrassing. But that's how it started. That's how I got the itch. Then later on in school, I think my junior year of high school, I met a dude named Devin. And he was blessed to have a home recording studio. And being that I was friends with him in school, he brought me in and took me into the studio where I recorded my first actual song in a studio.
Right.
And ever since then, it just kind of took off.
Okay, so from that time frame of, being in high school and meeting people and recording with them, what was the time frame between that before you got into Juice Gang?
Oh man, that was years.
Years later.
So I graduated in 2002.
Okay.
So from 2002 to 2014 when I met Bishop with Juice Gang.
Bishop.
I did a lot of stuff with that guy Devin that I was speaking of, or King Columbia is what he goes by now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Did a lot of stuff with him, and then I moved. That was in
Columbia.
Hold
on. Oh, this is in Columbia.
Yeah, so
I know you live in Columbia.
So let me back up.
Okay.
Born and raised in Somerville.
Okay.
Up until around the age 13, something like that.
Okay.
Grandfather got a job in Columbia doing the same thing. Moved with my grandparents to Columbia.
Okay.
Went to school there. Went to the last couple years of middle school and all through high school in Columbia.
Okay.
That's where I met Devin and a couple other guys that I rap with. And then the year after I graduated in 2002, I moved back down here.
You moved back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sorry I left that part out.
Yeah, that was
there was a gap there.
I know who he is, and that was kind of weird because you said Columbia.
Right. So, yeah. So from 2002 when I graduated is when I kind of first started like, dang man, I can kind of rap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To 2014 when I met Juice Gang, it was just kind of like going to any kind of studio I can get into, or just rapping as kind of like a hobby. But when I met Juice Gang, it started to get more serious. I started to learn a little bit about the business,
right?
More than just rapping, but your presentation, how you deliver, how you want to come off to the consumer. I started learning a lot more once I got with those guys.
Okay, so when you were doing music with Juice Gang, well, before we even say that, like I wanted to ask you because when I listened to your music, and then Juice Gang, I'm moving too fast. All right. What was your style? Like, what were you listening to as far as, like, because I heard about what your mom listened to.
Sure.
But what were you listening to? Because
Pastor Troy.
Pastor Troy
on repeat.
Because when I listen to your music, I hear pieces of the Southern.
Yeah.
The Southern rap. And I hear bits of rock.
Yes.
And then I hear bits of country.
Yeah, so like I said, I grew up listening to nothing but country and gospel. My aunts, who were my mom's sisters, who were also in the household with my grandparents, they listened to heavy metal, Bon Jovi.
Okay.
Bon Jovi them type of bands. It kind of depends. Back when John Bon Jovi days.
Okay.
So yeah, Whitesnake, Scorpions, them kind of groups.
Right.
And then when my mom came along, it was Tupac. I left out Outkast. She was a huge Outkast fan. So I guess as I started opening my mind to all these different genres, I took little sprinkles of everything, and that's what became my influence. I like to tell people that you can't put my personality or my genre in a box, because I try to do a little bit of everything just because that's what I was ingrained to do. You know what I mean?
So how did Juice Gang come about? How did you become part of Juice Gang?
So to my knowledge, when Juice Gang first started, it was really just a couple people. Bishop Dripper, or Black Boy he was going by then, was kind of he created the name Juice Gang after the movie Juice. So he had a couple partners, and they all named themselves after the characters of Juice. You had Q, Raheem, so on, Steel, so on and so forth. So there's a Steel Dripper, there's a Raheem Dripper, So anyway, you got your starting 4 or 5 from the movie,
Yeah.
and here I come along. And I came along as just a fan. I was just going to little shows they had in Charleston and seeing their style and their swag was so much different. And it kind of sucked me in. So I just started kind of being that guy that was just around all the time. I didn't have a title. They knew I could rap good from the D Rizzle stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I wasn't in the group.
Right.
But Black Boy or Bishop approached me later on and was like, we need you in the group. And being the only white guy, I was like, well, there ain't no room from the movie Juice for me.
Yeah.
There's no name you can call me. And they was like, but when you hit that stage, it's like magic. They was like, so that's what you're going to be Magic Juice Man Johnson. So that's what they call me as my alias.
Okay.
I was Magic Juice Man Johnson.
Okay.
Don't know where it came from, but it just kind of stuck. And yeah, and it got bigger after that. It went from 3 or 4 people to 8 people. And I think we had almost like 20 people in, as far as like different artists, different people. We had people that made mixed drinks at the bars that were part of Juice Gang. I mean, it was all over the place.
Yeah, I remember, man.
Yeah. The mixologists.
Yeah, man. Rehab days, man.
My old lady, Rachel, was anointed into the Juice Gang as the Juice Gang tattoo artist back when she was slinging ink. So we had it wasn't just music, man. We had a bunch of people doing a lot of different stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the time frame when you went from, how did it go from Juice Gang to, I guess you went to Mason Jar after that?
Yeah, so even before Juice Gang, I was in a group. They're gonna label me a click hopper, but I promise it ain't like that. Before Juice Gang, I was in a group with Waterboy from the Water Pod.
Creekside.
Called Creekside.
Okay.
Yeah. That again, they started out as 4 or 5 people. I came in kind of later. It turned into 6 people, and then it kind of that transition faded out. That's when I got into Juice Gang. So the transition from Juice Gang to Mason Jar. I want to talk about this without being disrespectful to anybody involved. But when you have so many egos in a group.
And what group is this?
Juice Gang.
Okay.
When you have so many egos and one person wants to do one way, one person wants to do one the other way, and it's just so much clashing, it'll fizzle out. It just never works. And that's kind of what happened with that. As far as that faction of Juice Gang. Now, to this day, they still have a Juice Gang, but it's totally different. It's different people. Other than Bishop, he's still involved. Of course, that's his baby. But that part faded out, and I was left stuck thinking Creekside thing didn't work out. The stuff in Columbia didn't work out because I moved away. The Juice Gang thing was just falling apart, and I was just in that rut where it was like, man, is it me? Like everywhere I go, things is falling apart, and I feel like it always happens right when I join these factions. So I took a step back, man. I took some time, and me and my wife and we went to the mountains a couple times to get away and try to clear my head. And I decided that I wanted to get back to my roots and back to really what made me the artist that I became. And that D Rizzle stuff, that was all a facade of me trying to fit in with the Joneses that was around me. But I think on that trip, it became like a spiritual trip for me. I listened to a lot of old country that I grew up on, and I was like, man, I don't want to do this D Rizzle thing no more. When I started rapping, I went by Dusty Roadz because, it's kind of a southern sounding name. It was my grandfather's favorite wrestler growing up, Dusty Roadz. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna rebrand. I'm gonna come back after this trip, and I'm gonna rebrand myself into Dusty Roadz. So I did that. I came back. I started writing music, listening to total different type of beats, listening to different artists that inspired me in other ways other than just hip hop.
Yeah.
And I had my boy come over and make a logo for Dusty Roadz, and that was it. I started writing. We call it outlaw hip hop music, which was kind of more of me. It was more where I come from. Just so happens that at the same time I was rebranding myself. I had already won some Geechee One awards as D Rizzle, so I had somewhat of a local reputation. It just so happened that across town, over on the James Island, West Ashley, Latson side of town, there was another white artist that was making some waves, Big City. And we kind of got to know each other through social media. I started following him, and my mind was blown away because, to my knowledge, there wasn't nobody my color that was rapping like me in Charleston. You know what I mean? I didn't hear it. But then I came across him, and I was like, whoa, I can either look at this as competition, or I can get in with him, do some records, and we can become a union. You know what I mean? We chopped it up over social media. Big City is the owner of Mason Jar Music, by the way. Chopped it up over social media. I came out with a CD with Creekside. They did like a reunion CD with a lot of older songs, and he came by the house one night and bought the CD and a T-shirt of mine that I had pressed up, and we clicked. It was just like I knew him for years. You know? A couple more weeks went by, and we kind of dabbled in and out of the studio, and everything we did was coming out fire. Like, it was just a different level of energy. So I asked him, I said, you know, do you think there's room for me to join in this thing with you, and let's build this brand?
So at that point it was, because I know, but so you had Mason Jar, and at that time it was City and Indy.
Okay, so City and T-Dub made Mason Jar. That was their baby. They came up with it, and T-Dub was the guy that makes the beats.
Yeah.
They knew.
He also DJ'd, right?
Yes.
He
became a DJ later.
He has the beard.
Yes.
Okay.
He became a DJ later, but he was solely just the beat maker.
Okay.
And then, yes, they had just, I don't know how their relationship came about, Big City and Indy, but Indy had just joined Mason Jar, literally probably a day or two before I did.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was just them three.
Okay.
And just the brand of the name Mason Jar, it's a Southern staple in the South. Mm-hmm. Anything that you see that's good comes out of a Mason Jar down here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anything. The brand matched my Dusty Roadz brand.
Yeah.
It just made sense. You know what I mean? Plus, I felt like they boosted I was so just on one level. You know what I'm saying? Playing field. But being that someone the same pigment of me was going extra hard, and it upped my game. It made me want to rap better. You know what I mean? So it was a nice fresh breath of air to be around like-minded individuals with so much talent, and it just made sense for me to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm still Mason Jar. You know what I mean? So that's my boys.
Yeah. And then Waterboy came in the group after that.
Yeah, so it was us four. It was me, City, T-Dub, and Indy. And, we're all pretty... Indy being from Indiana, he's still kind of he's got a choppy, like a Tech 9 flow. I'm more of a Southern. I can do, like, club stuff. I can do crunk stuff, Southern. City's also a club, Southern crunk type of rapper with heavy bars. I just felt like we needed a different element to kind of break the monotony up between us three. Because look, me, City, and Indy, we kind of look the same. We all bald, we all white, we all got beards. Yeah. I was like, man, we need to do something to break this up a little bit. And Waterboy, being someone who I rap with in Creekside, was kind of doing his own thing. And me and him, our relationship never wavered through all the transitions I went through. Me and him would always talk. I'd go hang out with his family and stuff, and I just knew he was a good dude. Super talented. His poetry is like phenomenal. Yeah. But I told City, I was like, bro, we need to look at him. We need to see, let's bring him into the family. Maybe he can throw another element into this thing for us. So he had did some feature tracks for us as just, Mason Jar featuring Waterboy. And again, same thing that happened with me. The tracks were fire. It just fit. You know what I mean? So he ended up joining, and we took off, man.
Yeah, man. So the journey has been long. A lot of ups, lots of downs. Yeah. Tell me about some of the good. I guess tell me about both. Tell me about some of the really, really highs and the really, really lows, man.
Okay. Well, we'll start with the lows. The lows are, I'm a type of person to wear my heart on my sleeve. And if I give 110% or something and I don't feel it reciprocated, instead of me getting angry about it, it puts me in a depression. So being with all these different groups, it was a lot of depression. It was a lot of like I said earlier, wondering, is it me? Like, am I the problem here? Like, what's the deal?
Before you continue, did you feel like the group was what you should have been in, or did you?
No, that's the problem. I always knew that our talents and our marketing and our promo could put us way higher than where we're at. You know what I mean? And it just, one person can't move a military. It takes all the soldiers to do it. You know what I mean? And unless you're moving as that unit, it just never works. And for whatever reason, and it wasn't always them. Could be partially me too. That's why I said it. Was it me? Like, what's the deal? But yeah, that was our only hindrance. It was just like, man, to get everybody on the same page, to believe in the same dream and to believe in the same way to get there. It was a task. And it took a lot until I got with Mason Jar, and it finally hit us, So the lows were, dealing with a lot of depression, a lot of broke, stuff costs money, man. Being an artist, man, you'll spend your whole life going broke until something bubbles. And that's with anything, videography, music, and you know what I'm saying? If you have a passion for something, though, you don't let that stop you. Like, money ain't gonna stop me from doing what I want to do. You know what I mean? So I'll go broke. I'll go without eating a couple of days if I can make a hot song. You know what I mean? That was my mentality. So that's what we do. You know what I mean? But that was the lows. Highs. Oh boy, I've gotten to do some things that, it may never be done again. Right. Here in Charleston. And on a bigger scale, it might not seem that much, but when you're looking at just South Carolina music in general, other than Darius Rucker, there isn't much that we haven't done under that. I mean, we've sold out Music Farm, we've sold out Windjammer, of course, with the help of awesome Randall Fowler, country singer. Yes, sir. We've collabed and did shows with a lot of major artists, and I look back when I made my post claiming my walking away from music or whatever, I was forced to look back at all those memories of things we've done in the past 6 years. Yeah. And it was rough, man. It was rough seeing, because really 2019, bro, we was a locomotive train and nothing was stopping us. We was killing everything. Yeah. I remember moments where, just sitting back and watching, and I'm like, these people got so many people sharing their videos and the merch. You see the T-shirts and the hats, and y'all had a movement, man. Absolutely, y'all really did, man. I don't know who all missed it, but a lot of people saw what was going on, and I'm just here I'm trying to figure out what happened. Okay, so I think a lot of the pull towards Mason Jar, and it's gonna sound simple and probably idiotic, but the logo. Hold on. The logo. Wasn't. You said that's the reason? I think a lot of the pull, other than people knowing us for the artists we are, for some reason that logo. And I'm gonna get to the reason I'm saying this. Okay. That logo, man, was like, Batman would have never been Batman without the bat signal, right? Right. Nike would have never been nothing without the swoosh. Right. If we was just calling ourselves Mason Jar and didn't have a logo that personified what was into that, probably wouldn't have done as much. The reason I say that, and this is a fact, 2020, we made over 10 grand in merchandise sales. And we only had one design. It was a black T-shirt with a white rope circle and a big Mason jar in the middle. That's it. Yeah. That was without us dropping we had one album out, the City Roads album, I think that was it. And 10 grand off of just T-shirts? I believe it. I saw That's why I say it's something about the South, that logo, just the name, it sold itself. Put that on top of, damn, they're actually pretty good rappers. I can actually listen to their music. They're talking about some Southern stuff, and they're rapping about it. Yeah. It made this perfect concoction. And it worked out. It just, It wasn't nothing we did in particular. I mean, our promo, them guys post here and there, but I was running the page. So anytime you saw Mason Jar music stuff on Facebook and stuff or Instagram, 9 times out of 10 that was off of me.
Yeah, I saw the shares though.
The shares was crazy.
Yeah,
man, I can't thank the people enough for making us what we were. You know, because without them, it would never happen. But yeah, you took 4 different people from 4 different sides of town who all had their own different fan bases, and then you combined them.
Right.
And that's how you get the look. You know what I'm saying? If I was to go out there as Mason Jar and just be Dusty Roadz, I'd probably have 10, 15, 20 people show up to a show consistently. You know, and the same way with those guys. But when you put them all together, you're selling out 500, 600 people. You know what I mean? Yeah. And a lot of it is people who knew us from rapping. A lot of it is, hey, y'all got to go check these guys out. Y'all want to go to the show?
Right.
And it like I said, it took off, man. It was a beautiful thing. It still is a beautiful thing, you know? It's just on a different level.
What's going on, guys? Sun 5 Films here. If you live in Charleston or the surrounding areas and you need a videographer, please let me know. Whether it's a wedding, corporate event, live performance, I do a little bit of everything. So once again, please let me know. Now let's get back to the interview. You're watching Sun 5 Films TV. Yeah, I definitely want to know more about what happened with Mason Jar. But before we even dive into that, like we said, you've been doing this for a long time. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the mistakes and things that you might have did wrong, or looking back at things that you could have done differently? By yourself, I mean, you know, it could have been with the groups, just in general. Like, for people who watching, like, you've been down this road. So sure. What are some of those mistakes?
So I think focusing so much on other people instead of just taking it and going and doing it myself was probably a big mistake. I mean, it took a lot of, if I added it all up, it was probably years out of my musical career waiting on the wing of somebody else to make a move. If I'm talking to a younger artist who's just getting in the game, I would tell them to always bet on yourself, find your own resources, and build your brand yourself. Because if you're relying on multiple people, they can be your hindrance from elevating to the next level. So I think my biggest mistake was not just taking the reins and just running with it and doing it on my time. It was I'm ready to go, but I gotta wait on this guy to come to the studio and lay his verse down. Or I'm ready to set up this video, but he isn't ready. He needs to go buy outfits, or he needs to figure out a scene for his verse. You know, that's what I would have done different. I would have focused more on me, whether it was back in D-Rizzle days, Dusty Road days, or whatever. I would have done more independently.
Do you feel like, looking back, that maybe if you were solo, things would have been differently?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah, because my drive it couldn't be matched, you know, so the only thing that could have stopped me would have been myself, and I know I can put myself in that mind frame back then, and I can tell you nothing would have stopped it.
Yeah.
Because I was not going to take no for an answer. All I needed was the resources, you know what I mean? All I needed was that producer, that engineer to believe in me. All I needed is that videographer to believe in my vision. And it usually took some work with them for them to understand that I had a grasp on what I wanted to do. Yeah. But once I had those resources, man, game over.
Yeah, man. I'm like, you're super talented, man.
Thank you.
Like, I mean, I'm sure if I haven't told you, man, like, I always felt that way, man. And like, with or without the group, like, you're one of my favorites, man.
Thank you.
Coming out of the city, and not even just the city, just like people that the world don't know about, or the world don't know about yet, man. Like, right. Always been super talented, man. But speaking of the group, Mason Jar, like I said, like, I saw how big y'all got and what was going on. So how did you, like, what do you feel like ultimately, I don't want to say didn't work, but ultimately kind of made things change?
For us, the biggest hit was COVID. Because, I mean, like I said, in 2019, early part of 2020, every competition we went in, we was killing it. Anything we put out was selling. We made over 10 grand in t-shirt sales. There was no stopping that train. until COVID hit. When COVID hit, the shows stopped. People were scared to come outside to buy any kind of merch or any kind of product other than what was online.
Mm-hmm.
Studio was kind of hit or miss because you didn't know if we use 40 ounce for an example.
Mm-hmm.
If 40 was sick that week, that's going to be a week or two we wasn't going to be in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
If one of our guys was sick, like I said, don't work unless it was as a unit. We're a mason jar. We're a group.
Yeah.
Although we're separate artists, when we were putting music out, we were putting it out together.
Mm-hmm.
So if one of the guys was sick, well, we can't go in there and make 15 songs with just 2 people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was our biggest downfall, mixed in with some personal things with each of us that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I went through a few health scares towards the ending of the COVID scare.
Mm-hmm.
Went through it that wasn't COVID involved at all. It
Right.
was totally my negligence, not taking care of myself like I should.
Mm-hmm.
There was some things within the family of other members that happened, and it was a concoction of a bunch of BS that kind of slowed us down. It didn't stop us though,
Mm-hmm.
it slowed down the momentum we had, and we had all the momentum.
Yeah.
We tried to pick it back up. We got with the band, and that's how we were able to do so much in 2019, 2020, was we got with a live band, and that changed everything for us. But
Right.
now you go from banking on 4 people to banking on 7.
Yeah.
So, we rehearsed a lot. Every Tuesday we were having practice and making sure that our bells and whistles were tightened up for these shows. And I don't know, the fire just kind of burnt out, I think, after that. And not for everybody. I can only speak for me.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of burnt out. Like I said,
Fire as in you didn't love it?
it went from being like, so like I said, the shows stopped, right? So when the shows stopped, the money stops. And it went from being like, who wants to work for free? It became a job. It went from being fun and making residuals to being a job that you're not getting paid for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And really with Mason Jar, you can listen to our albums and they're good. It's good music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the shows were where it was at. Like,
Yeah.
you don't get the full Mason Jar effect unless you go to a live show. It just is what it is. And when that stopped, like I said, it was just, it was hard to pick that momentum back. We were never the same after that.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I did, like I told you, I spoke to you a couple months back. I had a bone to pick with you about that City Roadz album.
Yeah.
If y'all have not heard it, go listen to it. Hard. And like, I can't lie. Like when it came out, I did listen to a little bit of it. I never really dived in like how I should have.
Right.
And then like a couple months back when I told you about it, I'm like, this shit is hard.
Yeah.
Like, you dropped the ball. Like, I told this man, like, this needs 1 million plays. Like, it's just that good of a body of work, man. So, like, what happened with that? And do you feel like, did y'all just not promote it right? Did y'all, like, what happened?
Yeah, so that was an idea. That was when I first joined Mason Jar. Me and City, we were talking about what we're going to do, what direction we're going to take. And my work ethic and his work ethic were right there. Our talents are right there, head to head. You know, this is before Waterboy joined, by the way.
Okay.
So Indy had moved to Indiana.
Yeah.
Waterboy hadn't joined yet. It was just me, City, T-Dub, the beat maker. So we're deciding, like, what are we going to do? Like, how are we going to make this work? And my clever mind was like, well, we'll take a half of you and then a half of me and do an album where we're showing our 2 sides. And which is how you get Big City, Dusty Roadz, City Roadz. And then the words City Roadz with a country background. Everything just kind of seemed like, a big puzzle, you know what I mean? So we knew what kind of music we wanted to do. We didn't want to do the regular rap, just put on a fucking drill beat or a trap beat and just rap. We wanted to have direction. We wanted the album to have substance. And we were, like I said, we were in this like outlaw not hip hop, because we ain't gonna get on there and talk about, I don't know, whatever they do.
I know.
whatever. Mudding in 4x4 trucks and stuff. Like, that's fun and stuff.
Yeah.
But that ain't what we do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we country. We're from the South.
Yeah.
And we gangsta as hell. So let's put them together and see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We got with 40. We explained to him what kind of music we wanted to do. And we would just, like, this in the studio, bro, just banging them out. Like, he'd put on a loop beat and throw in some Western sounds, whether it be a rattle or, like, just simple stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the elements of that album that you're speaking of is what made it so good. Like, it wasn't, the bars was there and they were great. The music was there and it was great, but it's all the elements into it, like, and it flowed. The whole album flows from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
So what happened with that is, it took us a lot to figure out how to get that album on social media platforms, because we've always put out music, but we had never. The new wave of putting out music virally was kind of new to us. We were used to just making a CD, having it pressed up, and then selling the CD.
Right.
Doing it online was new to us. So once we figured that out, we were kind of late to the ball game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you throw in, like, Waterboy just joined after that, and I think just the ball started rolling, and it didn't stay on that track. It just kind of went everywhere else.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened with that album. But, bro, honestly, you're not the only one who says that. Like, I hear that all the time.
It's hard.
Like, they compliment the album and how good it was, and they always say, like, man, I bought that physical CD from you, and I listened to a couple tracks, but it never hit me till I listened to it all the way through.
Yeah.
Because the flow of it, you know what I mean? But to this day, and I'm biased because I'm on it, but Rachel will tell you, anyone who's really listened to that album will tell you it's definitely one of the underestimated albums to ever come out of Charleston. And I stick by that.
Yeah, and it wasn't because I said I listened to some of the tracks and I knew about it, but we older, man, and our lives, like, we get pulled in so many different directions where it's like, when I was younger, I would just sit down and listen to music all the time.
Right.
Like, I don't do that as much as I used to. So it was one of those things where it's like, I'd listen to a couple tracks and then I got to go do something else. And then, I don't know, for some reason, a couple months ago, I put it on and I'm like, I remember this, but, like, I never really dived in. And I'm like, that's when I messaged you and I'm like, y'all dropped the ball, man.
Yeah,
like,
we did.
And it's one of those albums that, like, it should have been recognized way more than what it was.
But I just don't think the Charleston hip-hop scene was ready for that.
It wasn't, but I don't know. We just live in a world now, man, that, like, I don't know. We live here in Charleston, so I think a lot of times we think about our area. But we live in a world now, man, that, like, your music could touch everybody.
Yes. And that's where we dropped the ball at. We threw it on iTunes and we left it alone.
So speaking about that, man, like, just talking about things that y'all could have done differently or mistakes that y'all made for other people who are trying to, go down the path of making a career and doing music. Do you feel like investing wise, did y'all invest in yourselves enough when it came to how much money y'all put behind y'all?
Oh, yeah.
Y'all did?
Oh, yeah. The investment was there, I promise. The investment was there. Whether the buy-in matched it, probably not. But, yeah, we've spent a lot of resources and a lot of money to build this thing. So time and investment, whether it be monetary or anything under the sun, it was there. It wasn't the investment part. It was just we had too many marbles in the sack, man.
Yeah.
To focus on one. You know what I mean? It was just too many variables. And it was like, damn, that was good, but this could be better. So let's leave that alone and check that out. And instead of spending the time, if we would have sat on that City Roadz album and pushed it like you're supposed to push an album, there's no telling what would have happened with it. But because we laid it down, we thought it was fire, it didn't get the appreciation it deserves, we left it alone. We just forgot about it and just moved on.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just one of those things.
It sucks, man. I mean,
I don't know. Like I was telling you, something is only old to somebody who's already heard it.
Absolutely. That's
Like
right.
there's hundreds and millions of people who haven't heard it yet.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean,
We and me and Shane, we've talked to our city, we've talked about it, and we both feel the same way about it. We're very passionate about that album because it's very personal. You know, it's taking two different lives and putting them together, and like it went through a lot of emotions in that album, man. And we've talked about it, and maybe like a redrop or a possible City Roads 2 in the future. And I don't know. I don't know where I'm at yet with the whole music thing anymore. So I know you're going to segue into that here shortly.
yeah, I'm about to.
Yeah, but it's not a bad idea to think about because, I mean, that's my dog, and we still have chemistry and connection. And that album is fire. It is fire.
It is.
City Roads, y'all need to go download that, man. It's hot. But, you know, we'll see what happens.
So, might as well segue now.
I set that one up for you, man.
Yeah, man. So it's like you told the world or told social media that you're, I don't know. We got to get it correct.
Yeah.
You're stepping away from music, stepping away from the group. Like,
Okay, so
what's the?
So I woke up one day and I decided to download TikTok, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was never big into the TikTok phase. I thought it was completely ridiculous. Kids doing all kind of crazy stuff on there or whatever. But anyway, I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after, I learned about how you can make money doing whatever, you know what I'm saying? Just whatever. And I grew up all my life, I had a video game system.
Mm-hmm.
From far back as I can remember. My grandparents always made sure we had a video game system in the house to keep me occupied.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been into video games. When I got on TikTok and learned people were streaming and making money off playing video games, and I was already going through a emotional crisis within myself with the music thing. As I said earlier, it started to feel more like work than fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 39 years old.
Right.
And we went on a trip again. It seems like all these like flashbacks always happen like when we're on a trip, but we went on a trip, a vacation. And I felt so like angry and sad and mad about the music thing that I was just like, okay, I've thought about quitting music many times before, but I was thinking like, am I going to miss this in a week? Am I going to miss this in a month? And it was like, no. And it almost made me like sick to my stomach to think about it. And that's what gave me the reassurance that like, at this moment where I'm at right now, I'm really done with it. Like I'm really.
So if somebody said right now, whatever your musical dreams were in the past, I can make this come true for you right now.
Not unless I believe in it. And right now it ain't a believe in myself. Because I know I can still rap.
Right.
To say I don't put on a beat sometimes while I'm sitting in the backyard and just brush up on my skills and stuff, I do. I got songs written in the phone now, just there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I still got a love for it, a passion for it. But it would take a lot, man. It would take, first of all, I would need to know that I'm in control of whatever I'm going to do. Not to take away from the Mason Jar guys, but I would definitely think of it more of outside of a group of us and doing the individual. Other than that, like, I don't know, man. I just didn't. Right now, where I'm at with it, I just don't see it pulling me, man.
You just feel like it's ran its course, or you just feel it's like it's not fun anymore?
Yeah, that's what it. I don't think it's ran its course, like I said, because I mean now, especially now in day and age, and the type of music I can do.
You could go forever.
And the type of music I started doing before I got like a whole album recorded right now that has never been heard, never been released, and it's not rap. So I know I can do other things.
Yeah.
It's just like I started thinking about all the time, the investment that you got to put into it.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just at the age I am, my son's 9, so he's getting into that age where he's figuring things out in life, you know what I mean? I needed to spend more time there, more investment there. And that's what, like I said, and that's when it came into the video game thing. And it was like something I love to do that I can do at home with my son or my family. who enjoy it also, and could eventually have income.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a fallback. It's like my, it's my substitute. It's gonna fill my void because music for me was a mental. It was a mental, a help with my mental problems, with my
Therapy.
therapy. Yes, thank you. So when I decided I was gonna be without that, instead of having this empty void and not having anything, now I have this that I can put my investment, my time, my passion, my money into. You know what I mean? That I enjoy doing, that I can do by myself.
Right.
That I don't have to worry about if somebody's gonna follow my same footsteps or help me push it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
we might as well talk about that, man.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of things to talk about, but since we're here now, like you have the gaming.
Yes.
What do you want to do with the gaming?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that because I want to clarify some things. I go by Retro Roadz Gaming. The reason I named it that is this all started with me collecting older systems. As I said, I always had one growing up, but throughout life we misplace things break, you sell stuff off. I mean, a lot of my systems and games and stuff was probably sold at a garage sale somewhere in life that I can't remember exactly. But anyway, I got to a point here recently, even while we were doing the mason jar thing, where I was buying and collecting broken or used older systems. Because that's kind of what I was into. Old Super Nintendo and PlayStation 2 are the greatest consoles to ever come out. To this day, I still love them. So I started collecting old video game systems and watching YouTube and teaching myself how to repair them and fix them. And before I knew it, I ended up with 4 Nintendo systems and 3 Super Nintendos and 2 Segas, off of nothing because people thought they were broken. And I was like, damn, I did this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I brought this back to life. I built this thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I came up with the name Retro Roadz Gaming. And as I said, following the TikTok trend, learning how to stream, which was a freaking nightmare, by the way. Trying to figure out how to do what you need, excuse me, what you need to do that whole setup. Which we just recently figured out the right way to do it. But anyway, it wasn't easy, but it's so much fun, man. I mean, whether I have 400 people on there watching me or 20 people on there watching me, I have a blast doing it. It's what I love to do, and that's where I'm at with that. Yeah. But like I said, I wanted to clarify. It's called Retro Roadz Gaming, but every now and then you'll probably see me playing a newer game. It's not retro at all. Yeah. Retro Roadz is just the name. I'm old. I feel like I'm old. I'm almost 40. I'm a retro kid. That's what I got, a bunch of retro systems, and I got some newer stuff, so it's a mixture. Where I want to go with it, though, what's going to separate me from all the hundreds, thousands probably now of other people that are doing it is I've got a couple of different things in mind. One of them is going on location to different places. It's comic book stores, toy stores, and actually having an interview with the owner, how they got started, having a look around their store, bring traffic to their store, because I think it's a lost. It's so easy to just download a game from home
and just play it,
or order a toy from Amazon. Yeah. The days of going to a toy store, because we don't have Toys R Us no more. Right. Like, these kids ain't got nothing to do, bro. They sitting at home and that's it. That's what they want. My son's one of them. He's 9 years old. All he knows right now is just sit in his room and play Xbox all day.
Yeah. He likes video games, though?
He does.
Yeah?
He does. That's what, again, helped me figure, like, this is what I want to do.
Does he play the old stuff, or does he
He
not?
does. And it took a minute to get... He drugged me. Like, full-blown roasting. Like, Dad, y'all play on these crappy graphics? Like, oh, man, he let me have it. Wow. But once he got into it, you know what I'm saying? He started he loves it. He loves Mario, man. He's a Mario guy, so.
Okay, cool, man. So the gaming is, I guess, the filling the void, next, is that the next chapter, I guess?
It is, and it's starting right now. It's not, I always, what does she say all the time? where you want instant gratification.
Right.
I have a problem with instant gratification.
So you want instant gratification?
Yes, and it's my biggest flaw personally.
Right.
Like I said, when we put out City Roads, I was like, man, we're gonna sell 1,000 copies of this thing in one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when it doesn't happen, my whole mood is down. So it's a problem I have with myself. You know what I mean? So once I started this, and I'm seeing how hard it is, so much harder to get followers doing this than it is to make music.
So what is the because I don't know much about like gaming as far as like how people do it.
Yeah.
So like what is the path you're taking? Is it like Twitch? Is it YouTube? Is it like a podcast? Like what is the road that you want to take, and
Sure.
like what is the road that like what gets you known?
Sure.
I guess.
So as anything, there's levels to it. A lot of people do competitive gaming. They get really, really good at one specific game, and they'll stream through a ranking system, then play in that game. I'm not particularly good at any games.
Right.
As much as I like to play them, I'm not
Yeah.
the greatest at any of them.
Right.
Pretty decent, you know what I mean? So I do it for the fun, the joy of it. It's the nostalgia for me. It's the bringing my mindset back when life was easier, when times were easier, when going to a Toys R Us or a toy store was like the biggest thing. Like, bro, just walking through that long hallway to get inside the store.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The smell
Yeah.
of it all. Just like, that's what drives me, is the nostalgia of it. So just having different segments within the Retro Roads Gaming, I think, is what's going to set me apart. And that's what my draw is right now, my goal. For instance, I've talked to Waterboy and a couple other friends about it, but having a camera set up facing you and whoever your homeboy is and playing competitively against each other on the game, but narrating it as it's like a podcast. Like, I think that would be cool as hell. To sit there and play NBA Jam with your homeboy and y'all sit there talking trash to each other, but your podcast, you're filming it. So it's more than just streaming the game. It's just a different avenue other than music, involving elements of things that I enjoy doing. It's called Retro Roads Gaming, but it's a wide variety. I mean, I collect action, Marvel. I'm a huge Marvel freak. My wall is like, you ever seen 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Of course.
Okay. Kind of like that. Embarrassing as it may be, I've got action figures still in boxes. I've got canvases hanging up all over the wall. But that's what, that's what makes me, that's what grounds me. That's what keeps my mental health good. And that, that's what I'm putting my investment and my money and time towards it, to bring me joy. You know what I mean? Instead of being out in the streets and doing whatever there is to do out there, or forcing the music. I'm just trying to bring myself joy at this stage in life where I'm at. And we're running with it. Retro Roads Gaming, man.
What's going on, guys? Sun5 Films here. If you made it this far into the interview, thank you. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Now let's get back to the interview. You're watching Sun5 Films TV. So before we get out of here, man, like, you got so many layers and there's so many things that make you who you are, man. But I know you're a father as well, your husband as well. So talk about that a little bit, and talk about how, I guess, how is it to be a father and a husband, and how does that mesh with, like, I guess, the balance of everything that you do?
Yeah. So, I mean, I went through most of my life thinking I couldn't have kids. I've been engaged before. We tried to have kids, and it just never worked out. So once I was blessed with knowing that I did have one on the way, it changed everything in my life, everything.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful to have the woman that I have in my life, and the best son that I could possibly have. So it was rough for me and her at the beginning, because we're kind of like, they say opposites attract, but we were so opposite that it was hard to find that balance. You know what I mean? She's very in tune with the universe. She's big into astrology. She's big into things of that nature. I'm more of a Southern boy, man. You know, I mean, we get it how we live. We work hard, and that's really all we pay attention to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I praise the man every day, and that's what I know as my Lord and Savior. So, not that she doesn't, but
Mm-hmm.
she's on such a deeper level, and it took a while for me to adapt and appreciate her for who and what she is.
Mm-hmm.
But we figured it out. I'd say probably in the last 5 years, we really figured it out, and I love being a father. I back to the music thing. I spent so much time away from when he was younger, away from him, running to the studios, running to shows, running to photo shoots. Some things he attended with me, because he's always loved music too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Rachel will tell you when she used to come watch me perform with Juice Gang, right when he was in her stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd kick his heaviest when we were doing music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he always had that in him, you know. But now to be able to like spend full time outside of my 9 to 5 job with him, it's a blessing, man. And I'm glad it worked out that way at the age I am now.
Mm-hmm.
That it wasn't too late. You know what I mean? Him being 9, I still got a lot of time and a lot of teaching to go with him.
Yeah, and your stepfather as well.
Yes.
So, you know, we don't want to forget about that.
Yeah,
so,
which is equally not as easy.
Yeah.
How
do you balance that?
The stepfather and the father?
No. Just like the balance of family life and music and the gaming.
I try to incorporate as much as I can with them involved in it. From shopping for outfits to go on stage.
Mm-hmm.
To anything that my son was allowed to come to, I brought him.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that any setting, any show, she's there. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like I had to find a way to make up time for them because I was doing that, because they were there. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's so different now because I'm not doing those things and I'm just home.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's easier, but at the same time, I find myself just like twiddling my thumbs at home sometimes. Like, man, I'd be in the studio for 6 hours a day if I was still doing music.
Right.
Like, what am I gonna do for 6 hours? Like, having to find something to do. You know, that's the challenge now.
Yeah.
So
you said like your parents or your father wasn't around. Like, does that make you want to be a better father?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, throughout my whole life, I didn't think I could have kids, but I always told myself if I did.
Yeah.
I knew what I was going to do different. I knew what kind of father I was going to be. You know what I mean? So thank you to him.
Yeah, I mean, there's bits and pieces of that about my life. Me and my dad didn't have the greatest relationship in the world. I mean, he was there, but I don't want to dig too deep into that.
Sure.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I have a daughter as well, wife as well, and that definitely makes me want to be a better father, just thinking about how my life was.
Yeah, and it's not about you anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I told Rachel when she started seeing me collect all these game systems and stuff. She was, what are you going to do with all these game systems?
Right.
I'm like, we still got a son.
Yeah.
He's still got to grow up and learn these things and see and experience this stuff. You know what I mean? It ain't just about me.
Yeah.
There's always a bigger goal.
Right.
And at the time, like I said earlier, I was going through a lot of health scares. I didn't know if I was going to be here the next year or not. It was that deep. A lot of stuff I'm still battling. You know what I mean? I see 4 or 5 different doctors every month just to make sure I'm still going.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the challenges come, but the gratification I get from seeing how happy they are now, it cancels everything out.
Right. So what's some things that you want to instill in your son or your stepdaughter too,
He's so smart, dog. Like, I'm not going to have to do much work with him because he homeschools.
Okay.
And we did that because of the COVID thing that happened. We took him out then. But we found after we started homeschooling him, like, he was excelling so much faster, learning at his own pace. And he's just so smart. Like, there's not, like I said, I don't have much work to do with him. Me and my stepdaughter, she's 16. She's about to be 16. I think we've went through our fiery patch already.
Yeah.
We're kind of more I'm still the parent in that, the father figure in the house, but she has her dad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he holds down that role. But me and her, and a lot of people say don't become friends with your kids because they'll lose respect for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's situational. I think that kind of depends on what kind of a relationship you have with your children.
Mm-hmm.
But me and her have a great friendship outside of just me being her stepfather.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, she knows her boundaries and she knows my boundaries. She knows she can't come to me about certain things that she can go to her father or her mother about. Her mother mostly, you know.
Right.
But if it's about just some old shoot the shit, you know, talk, you know what I mean? Or she's super into music right now. And she's a Slipknot and Korn fan, you know, which is completely different than me, but it's still music.
Mm-hmm.
And I still know of these bands, you know. So we have a common bound, you know, with the music thing, and we have a great relationship now. It was rough at first, man. She was not having it. Another man in the household.
Oh, okay, I got you.
But it took some time. But you know, that relationship is great now. My son, smart as you know as anything, man, and a great kid. Mm-hmm. He's a great kid.
That's good.
So, just to believe in him. I want him to believe in himself. I want him to know that he's gonna have to work hard in life no matter what he does. And I think he's seen enough with me, what I've gone through, to know that once he gets to that age, what it's gonna take. You know what I mean? And he's free. I never was gonna push music on him. I want him to do whatever it is he wants to do.
Yeah.
So I think he's gonna be great no matter what it is.
That's good, man. That's real good. So when you sit back and years from now, when you old and gray and
I'm already gray, man. You see this?
when
I have to cut it out sometimes, but it's in there, guys.
I'll pluck a few out myself.
Yeah,
but
man.
When you're super old, super gray, man, sitting in that rocking chair, or you might be in a wheelchair or whatever, man. Like, what do you want to look back and see about your life that you did and you accomplished? And also, what do you believe your purpose is?
Whew. Boy, I told you to come with the heavy ones. You saved them for last. Oh, man. So when I look back, I want to see someone who gave his all in the music thing. That I don't want that to ever be wavered. Like, just because it didn't work out with these different groups and different people didn't mean I didn't try. It wasn't for it wasn't for being lazy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be looked at as one of the best rappers to come out of this city. I mean, I have people call me certain monikers all the time. You'll see it on their posts sometimes. People, the GOAT, they'll put a little GOAT emoji. People call me a legend some places. Like, when they say that, like, the humbleness in me wants to be like, man, shut up. Stop that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I get older and look back, I want to be like, you know what? I kind of was. And it's small thing, small city.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? As opposed to being a humongous worldwide artist. I've done a lot here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've got a room full of trophies. I've got magazine articles, interviews, another one now, thanks to you. I mean, there isn't much out of the scope of just being in South Carolina that I haven't done. So I definitely want to go down as that, man. I want to go down as a hard worker, a family man, but also my talents to be recognized. And I think they are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy with what I've done and to the point where I'm okay with just leaving it where it's at.
Yeah. What do you feel like your purpose is when you look at life? What was your purpose?
Oh boy, my purpose. Well, when I look at that 9-year-old boy every day, that's it. I mean, it's simple.
Yeah.
Growing up without a father at all. I have my grandpa, but let me tell you, just because you have a grandma, for those of you who look at situations like that and say, you might not have had your dad, but you had your grandpa there your whole life. Yes, that's true, but it ain't the same.
Right.
It is not the same. So growing up without a father and now being a dad myself, like, I get to be what I never had. You know what I mean? And that's huge for me. So the simple answer to that is to be a great father to my son. That's my purpose.
Yeah.
I've always been a hard worker, so work ethic's never been an issue. But what I'm doing now, man, I think I'm fulfilling my prophecies with my son. So
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice that someone told you, or advice that someone taught you, what would you say?
So I grew up playing sports a lot. Because I didn't have a whole lot of friends when I was raised by my grandparents. So I was put in a lot of sports to earn a friendship. And I was lucky enough to be on a couple of really good baseball teams on a small, before high school level. And one of our slogans was "No Mercy." And so I think that's it. Show no mercy to anything you want. Follow your passion and just... don't take no for an answer. No mercy. It says it itself. You know what I mean?
Okay. So, I want to ask you a couple more things before we get out of here.
Okay.
So, if you look back at your life and you think about all the things that you did, you think about the person that you are, you also think about the person that people see themselves of you.
Yeah.
What is something that someone doesn't know about you, or a lot of people don't know, or maybe even a misconception of what they think and it's not what it really is?
Well, that's a tough one, Sunfire. I'd like to think I'm pretty transparent. I mean, you learn a lot about me through my songs, because my verses are always coming from my perspective. I've never been the one to rap about jewelry and having things that I don't have. So anything you hear, it's legit. So I want to think that I'm transparent enough to where there shouldn't be much that you don't know.
I mean, it don't even gotta be deep. It could be food, or it could be like music.
Okay, here's a good
anything.
one. Here's a good one then, since you just brought that up. I hate cheese.
You hate cheese?
I hate cheese, man. I've always hated cheese.
Hate it.
I hate it. Like, on everything.
Everything.
No macaroni and cheese. I love pizza, but I'll take the cheese off. It's crazy, right? I don't know, man. I hate cheese. There's something a lot of people might not know. I don't like cheese. I'm a huge wrestling fan.
Okay.
There's that. Pro wrestling.
Back in the day.
Even now, I kind of try to, I'll flip it on there just to see what's going on. There's a lot of people I don't know anymore, but I'm a Sting guy. You remember Sting?
I remember. I don't think
blonde
was
flat top.
Was that WW?
That was WCW.
Okay.
He had the face paint, the blonde flat top.
I heard the name.
The scorpion on the trunks.
Right.
That was my guy, man.
Okay.
So, and he's 60 something years old and he's still doing it, bro.
Is he still wrestling?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't watched wrestling in so many years, man.
Oh man, yeah. I'm a huge wrestling guy.
I mean, we close on age, man. So I grew up in the era of the Stone Colds and the Rocks,
D-Generation X.
Yeah, the Triple H's and
yeah.
We ain't gotta get that.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so no cheese.
No cheese.
And you love
and
wrestling.
I love wrestling.
Okay.
And it was funny. Our mutual friend Waterboy, one of the questions he asked is like, "What's your guilty pleasure?" And it took me a while to think about it, but I started thinking like, I love NSYNC, man. The group NSYNC. No, there's nothing wrong with it. But it's like, when you with your homeboys, you don't want to be like, bro, you check out that new NSYNC album.
Man. I'm the dude. I'm the dude, man. If you know me, my music is like all over, man.
Yeah.
But like, if you don't know me and you come in my car, you'd be like, yo, what is this man listening to?
Right.
But I mean, there'll be days where I listen to the Jay-Z's, and then I might turn on Pink, or I might turn on Blink 182, or
some Three Doors Down.
I might put on some Hall & Oates.
Yeah,
man. You
man.
never know, man.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I get it, but I don't think I have guilty pleasures, man. Like, if you don't like what I'm listening to, you can get out.
Yeah,
so, I mean, I'm not gonna change the station.
That's
you
right.
In the car.
That's right. Yeah, man.
Right, man. But I appreciate you being here, man. Spending time with me. Like I said, we know each other But like now I'm starting to know you even more, finding out like bits and pieces that I didn't know about. So
It's cool. We have a lot of similarities that we
Yeah.
found out today. You know
yes,
what
we
I'm saying?
sure did.
That's
man.
dope.
But man, before you get out of here, man, if you got anything else you want to touch on, I know you definitely want to give your contacts. So
Sure. Yeah, man. So Retro Roadz Gaming on all platforms. Don't have anything up on YouTube yet. I'm trying to get some clips together for that. But you can usually find me live on Facebook or TikTok. If you see somebody that's not doing so well on there doing it, don't pay that no mind. You know, I'm getting there.
Right.
But Rachel, she also streams using my stuff. So if you see us on there, just come on there, say what's up, give us a follow. I'm not saying I'm 100% done with music all the way. There's some things that have been coming across coming across the board here lately, so we'll see what happens with that. I do have, like I said, a whole album that I did before I decided to give it a rest that I do plan on putting out. So we got some things going, man. You know?
Right.
But thank you for having me, man. It felt good. Like I told you off the camera, I want to say this so that people know it. It feels good to be able to explain that situation other than just a Facebook post, because you can misconstrue a lot just reading something. But when you hear it coming from the source and they can explain what they're going through, you know, mental health awareness is a big thing. So check on your peoples. I didn't figure out how real that was until I went through this transition. So thank you for letting me explain that.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you.
No doubt.
Once again, this is Dusty Roadz.
Yes, sir.
If you know the face by now, I am Sunfire Films, and you're watching Sunfire Films TV.
Let's get it.
That's my daddy.